Hello guys, thank you for coming. Today we're going to learn another chapter. It is actually about organizing a business. You see, one of the key decisions that manager have to do is to organize the business. By organizing the business, it will lead to better organizational structure. If you organize the business nicely, company will become more effective and efficient. Staff will also know what to do for their business. So the outcome of organizing a business is actually what we call as organizational chart. We will look at the organizational chart later on. First of all, what is the organizational structure? We can define organizational structure as the specification of the jobs to be done within an organization and the way in which those jobs relate to one another. So actually there's two parts. You specify the jobs, what needs to be done inside the organization, what needs to be done. Second, how does the job relates to one another? So perhaps the easiest way to understand a structure is in terms of an organizational chart. For this part here, most small businesses, they prepare an organizational chart to clarify the structure and to show their employees where they fit into the company's operation. So company normally they put the organizational chart at their wall, in their annual report and in the website. So inside the organizational chart itself, we would see a chain of command which shows reporting relationship within the company. So chain of command actually shows the reporting relationship in a company. Who reports to who? Who's the bosses of who? So if somebody make a mistake or make a problem, who should I tell it to? Or if somebody do something good, who should I actually inform so that he or she will get praise? So this is actually an organizational chart. As you can see here, each of these boxes here, they represent a specific jobs. And then normally inside this organizational chart, which like I mentioned, they will put it on the wall. They can also put it in their report. They can also put it in the website. So what this tell is that they just tell number one, specific jobs. Number two, they would also tell the title itself or the positions. And sometimes in organizational chart, like in Malaysia, for example, we like to put names here. So who's actually holding that position? And we also like to put a picture here. So who's actually, how does it look like? But those are all optionals. Most of the time, what's compulsory in organizational chart is actually the jobs itself and also the chain of command. So this shows job, and this one here, the line here, this solid line, this is actually what we call as the chain of command. So chain of command shows authority or reporting relationship. Okay, so if you look at the example here, this person, okay, sorry, I should change the color. This person here will report, they shows that it reports to this guy. The office manager here reports to the retail managers. So that's what we call as the chain of command. Okay, this is important term for you to look at. Guys, just something that you should know. Organizational charts for small businesses, they are easier to do. But for larger businesses, they tend to get a little bit harder. Okay, and you also should know that organizational charts are not static. It means that they will change from time to time. Okay, so be prepared to change. Again, like I mentioned, who's supposed to create organizational chart? The managers or the owners. By having proper organizational charts like this, you show the jobs, you show who reports to who, and if you do it properly, your organization tend to be more effective and efficient. So how do we create this chart or structure of the company itself? Whether it's big structure, small structure, how does it look like? So there are a couple of things or many factors that plays a part in to determine the nice optimal structure of an organization. So one of the top things that determines this is actually the organizational mission and strategy. You can see here mission and strategy. These are the most important thing when you want to decide how does your structure looks like, small, tall, short, big, right? A company normally, if you are looking at mission and strategy, a company that is quite rapidly growing, they needs to be very dynamic. So what they do is that they would have a structure that would allow them to be flexible, and they would require less reporting line. So the reporting line will be smaller. And this kind of structure normally, because they need to be dynamic, they need to be fast, they need to be flexible, they need to rely on trust, and they also need to make sure that there's ability for their own employees to make decisions without going through too many layers of decision making. So if you're my employee, I will give you some authority. You have this problem, you make the call. You know what? You do it. Don't need to report to me, so then I have to report to the boss. So we wait. You know, while we wait until we get a yes or no, it will take longer delays. So next one, a company, in contrast, the company that relies on stability, consistency, and or involve a high risk. So company that relies on stability need to be very consistent, or maybe they are involved in high risk. They need to have a structure that allows them to be less flexible. Okay. Size of the company also, size of the company and aspect of the organizational environment also affect the organizational structure. So organization must be conducted with an equal awareness of both the firm's external and also internal environment. Apart from this, let's take a look at the building blocks of organizational structure. So we have a couple of things. When we talk about job specialization, in order for us to create a structure or chart, first of all, what we need to do is actually we need to specialize the job. What is specialization, or normally what we call as job specialization? Job specialization is just a process. They identify specific jobs that needs to be done. So they identify specific job that needs to be done, and they designated, which means that they put people there, or they decide who will perform them. And if you do this properly, you break down the specific jobs and then you put people properly to do specific job, that would have a very good job specialization. After jobs are normally specialized, so we break them down, we put people there to fill in the jobs. After the jobs are specialized, what we do next is that we must group them into logical units. So this is actually the process of departmentalization. Okay, this one here. So departmentalization, departmentalize companies. So once we departmentalize them, departmentalize companies, they normally benefit from this division of activities. So controls and coordinations are made easier if you department them. So instead of everybody doing everywhere, once you put them in specific departments, it's easier for you to control, it's easier for you to coordinate, and top managers or owners itself can easily see how various units or departments are performing. So it's important for you to specialize the job, break it down, and then departmentalize them. Going on to job specialization, just a quick one. If you look at it, BMW, take example, BMW, they have one major job. Their major job is actually to make cars. However, not one person can make a single car. Therefore, the managers need to break it down or what we call as specialize it into smaller jobs. So in smaller companies, however, the owners may perform most or even all the jobs. But as the company grows, the need to break down and specialize job increases. And any managers or owners who doesn't perform this job specialization, if a manager or owner keep on doing all the jobs on their own, they do not perform job specialization, they will suffer from a couple of things, such as they would suffer from lack of efficiency. Their company is not efficient because they don't want to break job, they do all the things. It just doesn't make sense. The company will also not be effective. They will not be effective. Their employee will not be effective. And the managers, employees, they tend to be more tired. And at the end of the day, they see less output. Okay. Like I mentioned just now, after jobs are specialized, they will then be grouped into logical units, what we call as departmentalization. And I also inform you, just a quick recap, that once you departmentalize them, you can have better control, you can easily coordinate them. Top managers can actually see how each unit performs, and also departmentalization will allow the firm to trust each department. Departmentalization will allow the firm to treat each department as a profit center. So each department considered as a profit center. So it is considered as a separate company unit, and they are responsible for their own costs and also their own profit. So if you're a manager, once you have departments, you can check the cost and benefit for each department, and you'll know who's performing and who's not performing. And you also have to remember that managers, they do not departmentalize their jobs randomly. They do not simply randomly do it. They normally group them into departments based on common purpose. And normally, departmentalization can be done according to product. We can departmentalize according to product. We can departmentalize according to process, according to functional, customers, and geographic. I repeat that again. It is based on product. We departmentalize them by product, process, functional, customers, and geographic. So these are some of the examples of how we departmentalize our company. So if you look at the first one here, the first one is what we call as the functional departmentalization. And this is actually very popular among service and manufacturing companies. So what they do is, especially the smaller ones who just getting started, they normally use functional departmentalization. And they create their departments according to group functions or activities. Most new startup firm, for example, they use functional departmentalization. What they do is that they break down their company into production departments, marketing departments, sales departments, human resource departments, accounting and finance departments. So this is how it works. If you look at the second one here, okay, the second one is actually what we call as the product departmentalization. So let me clear it a little bit and make it nicer. So when we talk about the product departmentalization, both manufacturers and service providers, they often opt for product departmentalization. What they do is that they divide an organization according to specific products or services that are being created. So they divide their departments according to specific products or services that are being created. This becomes especially true or very useful when a firm grows and start to offer multiple product or services. In tailors, for example, if we use this, okay, in tailors, we can departmentalize to maybe foundation department, diploma department, degree departments, postgraduate departments. And other manufacturers, they also favor process departmentalization. Here, this one. When manufacturers favor process departmentalization, the company or the organization will divide according to production processes used to create a goods or services. So again, I repeat, they actually departmentalize, they break it down, or they group them into processes that are used to create goods or services. Insurance company might departmentalize to a department. Let's say we take insurance company example. They will departmentalize based on process here into the first department that receive claim from their customers. Then they have another department that focus on reviewing the claims, whether it's legit or not. And they would also have the last one that might focus on paying the customers if the claim is found to be legit. So this is the process 1, 2, 3. Another form of departmentalization is the customer departmentalization. Customer departmentalization normally happen in retail store. So they would have, for example, in customer departmentalization, they will offer product, they will divide organization to offer product and meets needs for identifiable customer group. Okay, let me make it simple for you. If we take customer departmentalization, we have a retail store, we would then break them into, let's say, a men's department, a woman's department, a luggage department, a lawn or garden department, and so on. So each department target a specific group category, maybe men, maybe women, people who wants to buy luggage, people who wants to buy lawnmower. So by using the customer departmentalization to create department that offer products and meet the needs of identifier customer, it's easy for them to tackle. Lastly is what we call as geographic departmentalization. This is normally bigger companies have this. Geographic departmentalization, they divide the firms according to the area of or the country that, geographic department, they divide the firms according to the area of the country or the world that they serve. I'll take example like BMW. So BMW, for example, they have one division for North and South America. They will have one division for Europe, and then another division for Middle East, another division for North Africa, and maybe one more for Asia Pacific region. This is how we group the departments. Department, okay, this one here, it shows that multiple forms of departmentalization. Departments can also be combined. It's not like a company have to choose only one, stick with it. They can change, they can also combine according to the company needs. But normally when you look at multiple, this combination, this is normally for larger or multinational corporations where they combine 1, 2, 3. Okay, and it's totally fine. The next one is where we talk about the authority. It's quite easy lah. This is actually the third major building block in creating a good structure. What we do here is that we establish a decision making hierarchy. Who's going to make decision? This is normally done by making sure that you have a formal reporting relationship. It must be formal, which means that it must be black and white. It must be clearly communicated. They understand. So, and they have a reporting relationship. And we have couple of things lah. We have either we can choose centralized organization or decentralized organization. So this is actually either or. So in a centralized organization, normally here for this one here, let me change it. Okay, for this one here, normally most decision making's authority is being held by upper level management. So in terms of making decisions, the upper level managers that will make decisions first. You have to follow or you have to ask their permission. And this is normally, these kind of things are normally found in companies that have relatively stable, predictable environment. So the environment that they're working, they're selling is stable and predictable. And also for small businesses. As the company gets larger and more decisions need to be made, the company normally would slowly turn into what we call as decentralized organization. So in decentralized organization, most of the decision making is actually delegated. They are given to level of managers at various points below the top. So they slowly give, okay, you guys make a decision. Okay, the smaller managers can make decision, superior can make decision. So they give the authority for them. And this kind of organization normally is very useful when you are faced with environment that are complex, that are dynamic. It allows you to be very responsive because you don't need authority to make decisions. You can make the decision. So it allows you to be more responsive. It allows you to make decisions faster, and you will also get better customer service. Now we have two organization. The outcome of those centralized, decentralized, you would have either a tall organization or a flat organization. So this example here, this is actually a flat organizational structure. If you look at here, this one here, okay, the whole thing is what we call as the flat organizational structure. You know, okay, so it looks like this. So it's not a high pyramid, it looks like this. So flat. It has lesser layers of managers. You can also go for tall organizational structure. Normally when we start, it is flat lah, but as we grow bigger and depending on the environment itself, the organization tend to be taller. And when you look at the taller here, they have actually multiple layers of management. Okay, like this is actually for US Army. US Army, you cannot simply make decisions. You need authority. You cannot simply go and shoot. You cannot simply go and attack people. So you need layers and layers to make good decisions, because this is very dangerous and very risky. So they have multiple layers of management. Therefore, they become. And here we have span of control. Just now, if you see the picture, the tall one. So under that, we have span of control. Span of control is quite simple. It's actually how many people are supervised by one manager. So if I have 10 people under me, let's say right now I have about 6 people, 6 lecturers who are reporting under me. So my span of control is actually 6. If I have 15, I would say I have 15 span of control. It tells you that I have 15 people below me. Okay, this is the term that we use sometimes. And you need to be familiar with the terms. Next one is the delegation process. Delegation process is actually, it's a process in which the manager, they allocate work to subordinate. So this delegation here, okay, a manager would slowly allocate work to subordinate. In general, if you want to have a proper delegation, you want to give proper work to your staff, you have to follow 3 processes. The first one is actually what you call as assigning responsibility. Maybe I should use red color. Okay, cancel. You assign responsibility. the first thing that you should do, you give them a task. Okay, example, Eric, this is what you are supposed to do. Once you receive the form, you are supposed to check the form, and then you tell me whether the form is actually properly filled or not. Then from that, give the form to Jason. Jason will then key in the information into our software, and then from that, Mary would follow up with the customers. So this is actually assigning responsibility. After you have assigned responsibility, you should also grant authority, which means that you give them the decisions necessary to complete the task. So you give them the power to make decisions in order for them to complete a task. Look, if let's say the form is not, Eric, like just now for example, if the form is not properly filled, then don't give it. You do whatever you want, but we just need to make sure that it's done properly. Okay, so you grant authority. The last one is that you create accountability, which is you tell them clearly, this is your task, I have given you the power to make decisions, you gotta complete this. If you don't complete this, then there are some, maybe, you know, repercussions, or maybe some problems later on, kan? Okay, that's the delegation process. This one here, guys, I expect you to spend about 1 minute to read, because this is just how to, they teach you how to delegate effectively lah. Okay, so they show you some obstacles that somehow hinder the delegation process, and this is actually strategies to overcome them. Moving on, we talk about the forms of authority. So we're talking about power, authority here. As individuals are delegated responsibility, they are given authority, a complex relationships starts to form. So it will actually have couple of what we call as the forms of authority. The type of the first one is actually the line authority. The line authority is the type of authority that flows up and down of the chain. This is what we call as the line authority. Or maybe I should just skip. I tell you directly lah. I'll show you the example here. You see here, this part here shows line and staff authority. So this one here is what we call as the line authority. They are directly involved in the making of decision in reporting. When this one here, the dotted one, are what we call as the staff authority. So this is the staff authority, the dotted one. The staff authority, they are not directly in the decision making. Normally they cannot make decisions, they can only support. So they are there like kind of like outsider who give advice or counsel. Okay, that is a simple. Alright guys, this is our lecture code. Please make sure that you key in this code inside our survey form, Google form, and done. Next one, we continue. There's a couple more slides, about 7 slides left. So the next one is that we look at the basic forms of organizational structure. So if you have organizational structure, you want to organize how it looks like, you can structure yourself in, actually organization can structure themselves into unlimited number of ways. However, generally we can classify them into 3 main popular types. So we have functional structure, divisional structure, matrix structure. These are the popular ones lah. The most popular is functional and divisional. So under the functional structure, this one here, under the, let me read again, sorry 1 minute. So under this functional structure, the relationship between group functions and activities determine authority. So functional structure, they are normally used by small to medium-sized firms. They are normally structured around basic business functions. So you would have a marketing department, you would have, so if you are a company, you would structure them into marketing department, they would have operation departments, finance departments. So the benefit of this kind of departments or structure is that it includes specializations within functional areas, and it allows smoother coordination among them. So finance, for example, marketing, for example, they want to do marketing, they need money, they talk directly to finance. Finance will also discuss, and marketing will also rely heavily on production, because and production rely heavily on marketing to get information from one another. So that's the first. Okay, this is example of a functional structure. Okay, you can see that they have operations, so they group based on operations. Okay, see, they group based on operations, one department, and then we have marketing department, we have finance department, we have human resource department, we have function which is R&D. So this is, all of these examples are functional structures. The next one is actually divisional structure. So division structure, they relies on product departmentalization. Organizations normally they use this approach. Organizations that use this approach normally they are structured around several product-based divisions, and the head of each division may be a corporate vice president if the organization is large enough, or maybe divisional president. Let's take a look at the example of divisional structure. Okay, this is the example of divisional structure. You can see here it is based on product. So we have one department that focus on customer products. We have one department that have industrial product. We have one department that focus on healthcare product. But do they have marketing? They have marketing. They also have marketing. They also have marketing. This one have finance, different finance. Finance also have. Finance different have. Okay. Last one is metric structure. So metric structure actually happens sometimes, and when it happens, they combine two separate structures because they believe that it will work better. It is a little bit more complicated lah. You can see here. Okay. You can see that they combine. The company is organized into here merchandise. Okay, here we have merchandising, and also here we have media. No, sorry, we have merchandising here, we have media here, and because of this merchandise and media, they will coordinate with each other. Therefore they become a little bit more matrix structure. Normally matrix structure is not permanent, it's to complete one project, and because it's too complicated to handle and there's so many reporting line, it can create a little bit of chaos or confusing sometimes. Okay, whatever we learned just now, those are all formal structure. Now we look at the informal structure. Actually in organization there's a structure that are formal, they're also informal. The one that is represented by the organizational chart, by formal assignment of authority, those are all formal. However, a lot of times the informal organization, which takes more, actually have more impact. So what is informal organization? It's actually these are unrelated structure. They happen because there's everyday social interaction among employees, and they might exceed formal jobs and job interrelationship. They can also even change a company for formal structure. Informal groups, they normally are simply groups of people who decide to interact among themselves. They may be people who work together in a formal sense, or maybe just get together for lunch, break, or after work. They may talk, so this informal group that form together, they may talk about their business, they may talk about the boss, or maybe something that are totally not related to work, like families, movies, sports. So it's a hangout buddy that happen to work together. So this is what we call informal group. Okay, the impact on the organization can be positive. So let's say they decided to work together to support the organization, so it have impact. It can also be negative. Let's say the group, this informal group that hang out buddies that work in the same organization, decided that to work in ways that is not beneficial, or even make a negative impact to the organizational interest, or maybe not even relevant. So impact can be also irrelevant. Let's say they just want to do something that are not related to organizations. Okay, so I take example. When you join diploma program, the tutorial group is the formal structure. However, inside your tutorial group, you would also have friends. You would slowly form buddies. You form people from not just your own group, maybe from other sections that are closer. Those hangout buddy that you go and eat together, do assignment together, or maybe just watch movie together, those would be your informal groups. Okay, it can have positive impact, it can have negative impact. And by forming this group, informal group, we would have what we call as the informal communication, or also known as grapevine. So grapevine is actually an informal communication. It's a network that can flood an entire organization. Grapevine, this informal communication, are found actually in all organizations except the smallest lah, but they do not always follow the same pattern, like formal channel of authority or communication. Example of this grapevine or informal communication is gossip. So gossip happens when one person spread message to many other people. Is it a communication when you gossip? Of course, you are communicating. But is it through company's formal way, like emails, announcement? No, it's not. So you gossip with each other, it becomes an informal way of communication. Will it have impact? Yes, both positive and negative. Is the gossip believable? To a lot of extent, people do hear gossip and people believe gossip, and the worst is they spread gossip, whether it's true or not. So this is what we call as the informal organizational and the way they communicate. That's it guys for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you benefit. Okay, take care.